If you are a vegan and if you're a vegan for moral and ethical reasons, maybe you should visit a farm and see how the vegan food is produced. Hundreds, if not thousands of lives are destroyed every year to grow food that we know as vegan. For example, this is a pheromone trap and we have set this pheromone trap to target a particular kind of pest called the SWD fly or the spotted wing Drosophila fly. Now the SWD fly is attracted by this pheromone and it enters the bottle through these holes that we punctured in the bottle and it drowns in this deadly concoction we prepared for it. And these are the SWD flies drowned in this concoction, dead, destroyed because of this pheromone which attracted them into this poison that we prepared for it, and they're all dead over here and they have left our fruits alone. So now if you do not destroy the SWD fly which feeds on our raspberries, there will be no raspberries for you. So what the SWD fly does is it targets particularly the soft-bodied fruits and berries like the raspberries and the cherries. So for example, in a farm, it looks for ripe raspberries and it lays eggs inside the raspberries, and in a matter of 12 to 24 hours depending on the humidity and the temperature, more the humidity, more the temperature, the faster the hatching of the eggs, and these eggs hatch into these very ugly, very small, tiny, wriggling white worms that swarm all inside the raspberries, and they become inedible, particularly if you are a vegan. So the setting up of these pheromone traps is actually a more ethical way of getting rid of pests because this is targeting a particular kind of pest. In our case, it's targeting the SWD fly which feeds on the raspberries, which lays eggs inside our raspberries and destroys our harvest. Now if you compare it to a broad-based pesticide use, it would indiscriminately kill everything including the SWD fly, including the bees and the butterflies. So this is a more ethical way of getting rid of a particular pest if you want something growing on your farm, because the unfortunate reality is that pests do target crops and berries and fruits, and you do need to take some steps to get rid of them. So in terms of sheer numbers, more lives are destroyed, more lives are decimated to produce a couple of berries, some fruit and vegetables. So there is more blood in your hand if you're going to be consuming food that you call vegan. Provided also you consider these critters, these pests that we destroy on the farm to produce the berries, the fruits and the vegetables also as living beings, also as creatures that are sentient, that are capable of feeling pain, just like the chicken, the fish, the cow, the pig or whatever else the non-vegetarians consume. There's one misconception that many people have, and mostly vegans have that, is that organic food somehow is grown organically. It's grown naturally. It's grown without human intervention. Now that is a myth. That is not possible. There is no such thing as natural farming. You cannot grow things naturally. In the farm, there is nothing that you can grow without human intervention, without us coming in and doing something so that something grows on the farm. We're coming in and intervening, coming in and doing some kind of foliar application so that our fruits and vegetables that we are growing are not eaten up by the pests. We come in and intervene and somehow make sure that these pests do not get to our vegetables and our fruits before we do. And there are some measures we have to take, whether you are an organic farmer, whether you are a permaculture farmer, whether you are a regenerative farmer, whether you are whatever fancy name of a farmer you are, you need to come in and intervene. For example, if you're an organic farmer, you will also come in and spray some organic pesticides. You will also spray in some pesticides, even though your pesticides are going to be organic in nature compared to the chemical farmer. In many ways, the organic control of these insects that we call pests, or the biological control of these insects, is somewhat more horrid compared to the chemical means of controlling them. For example, all home gardeners are familiar with insecticidal soaps, which are recommended organic means of controlling pests in the backyards. Now what these soaps do is they remove the protective covering that these insects have, dehydrating and suffocating these insects, which can sometimes take a couple of minutes or a couple of hours. Much more brutal way of getting rid of the pests compared to a chemical pesticide, which sometimes kills them instantly. A case can of course be made, and is often made, is that the insects do not feel pain like we do. They do not feel the pain like the vertebrates do because they do not have the cerebral cortex. But can we deny that these insects also have an instinct to live just like any other creature? That as far as evolution is concerned, these insects also have a purpose. They also have a role to play. They also want to breed and thrive just like any other creature on planet Earth. Farmers may not tell you this, or at least they won't put it this way, but farmers love the non-vegetarians on the farm. We love the predators. Pests, what are the pests? The pests on the farm are always the vegetarians, are always the vegans if you like. They are the ones that destroy the farm. They are the ones that are enemy number one for any farmer. Those are the ones that any farmer is coming in and destroying so that he can have a healthy harvest. The other predators, the non-vegetarians, are what are called the beneficials. A farmer may choose not to do any foliar applications, organic or chemical, to destroy these pests, these insects that destroys harvest. But any self-respecting farmer, any good farmer would want to encourage the thriving population of beneficials, a thriving population of these predators, these insects that feed on the pests that feed on his crops. Now let's take the example of the ladybird. The ladybird is very cute looking, but it's a very efficient, it's a very voracious and a ferocious predator to have on the farm. It's the pride of any healthy farm. The ladybird particularly feeds on a pest called the aphid. The aphid, being a pure vegetarian, feeds on our plants, destroying our plants. It sucks the sap from tender tissues of plants, stunting their growth and sometimes killing them completely. So the farmers like to encourage the ladybird for that reason, because the ladybirds, they feed on the aphids, and a ladybird is known to consume almost about 50 aphids in one day. So a very efficient predator of the aphids, a very efficient beneficial insect to have on the farm. A lot of people ask us, why do we have ducks on the farm? We have ducks on the farm because we have a lot of slugs on the farm. And we have a lot of slugs on the farm because their natural predator, the frogs, are missing. Frogs, like all amphibians, across the world, the population is plummeting. It's plummeting because amphibians tend to be more susceptible to climate change. They are more sensitive to any change in the weather, in any change in the environment. Therefore, we don't have any frogs anymore, and because we don't have the frogs, their prey species, the slug population, has now exploded. Now we have introduced the ducks because the ducks love the slugs. They are, I'll say, a poor substitute of the frogs because the frogs were a natural predator of the slugs. But our ducks are helping us keep the slug population under control. Then there is the white grub. To take another example of a very harmful pest that we have on the farm. The white grub feeds on roots of plants, especially the blueberry plants, and it's a particularly pernicious pest because in its adult form it becomes the June beetle or the Japanese beetle, and it feeds on the fruits like our plums, the peaches and the apricots. So a farmer needs to take whatever steps necessary to reduce the population or decimate the population of these white grubs, whether he does it directly through pesticides, organic or chemical, or he does it indirectly by introducing predators on the farm if he wants a good production of blueberries or fruits on his farm. So the production of food on the farm, the potatoes, tomatoes, blueberries, raspberries, fruits, whatever you're growing on the farm, involves the destruction of a lot of living things on the farm. So to make this claim that there are some foods that are vegan foods and does not involve animal cruelty is completely misleading and factually incorrect. In fact, like I've tried to illustrate in this video, more lives are destroyed in terms of sheer numbers, more lives are decimated in the production of food known as vegan food. Don't believe me? Visit your nearest farm.